Hello, welcome to this video that I have tried to record like 7 times now, I don't know. It is so difficult to talk about this topic, and also it's sort of irrelevant and doesn't even matter, and it's kind of personal, and so it's like, why am I doing a video on it? Right? Welcome and thank you for listening to me ramble along if you are here. I appreciate your audience so much. My name is Allie with Amory Speaks. And please, this is not a typical video out of mine. If you're looking for metaphysical videos or spiritual divination, I do readings every Friday on my YouTube channel. On my old original channel, which I'm locked out of, I have maybe 300 videos over there, a bunch of metaphysical videos, spiritual discernment, topics like energetic systems, shadow and light work, spiritual hygiene, and also, I don't know what else. A bunch of topics over there. My backup channel mainly right now, I'm just sort of doing Bible study sort of thing, metaphysical version, my first time ever reading New Testament. So, yeah, it's nothing special, and mostly it's personal discovery sessions that I'm just reading through and, putting my own opinions on, talking a little bit about systems jargon, energetics, alchemy work that I see esoterically written in the scripture in there. So if that kind of thing interests you, you can find those on my channel right now. But like I said, this kind of video here today is a little different and difficult to speak on, but I just spring is here. It's 2025. It's a 9-year. I'm ready to just put the stamp on the book, get ready to close it up, and call it what it is. And with that comes acknowledgement of this strange checking out, the isolated life, this I don't live off-grid, but I live out of the mainstream. I live out of society in a very sort of segregated community and place. And my days and my years now have all sort of come into this different lifestyle that's very inwardly focused. It's of course focused on my directional world as well. My family homeschool 2 sons, 18 and 11 years old now, but I've been doing that since 2020, so it's been 5 years now of a different kind of life than I ever imagined. Pivoted and changed so drastically as the world did. BC, before Corona, like I like to joke about it, not in a rude way either, but just, I really think it's a pivotal line in the sand, moment that really is a change of the ages. It's a dawn of a whole different time. It's like an old world and the new world, to me, especially, which is, why I like to call it BC, because I feel like I was a whole different person. My kids were in a whole different place. There were different potentialities and available, different risk assessments needing to be done. It was a whole different consciousness. I was spiritually awake. Back before then even, I had I was always more of an awakened person. If you're not new to my channel, you'll probably have heard my story a million times. I'm not going to dive into all of the things. If you're interested in learning more about my story or me, I have plenty of them, plenty of videos. I'll leave just links in the description maybe, or you can go over to amaryspeaks.com, and I have a tab about myself and some blogs and my journey and different aspects. My awakening to health and wellness, which was sort of my first gear shifting towards where I am today. It was the first pivotal point to sort of finding this better path to my higher best good here in the now, and that led to a bit of a spiritual awakening. And my health awakening was about 2015. Before that, like I said, I was always awake to government conspiracies and that kind of thing, and the man, and sort of control mechanisms of big business and industry, and global isms, think tanks, religions, and society and culture kind of manipulations. My dad was really awake to those kind of things, and happened to just be, you know, friends who are also in my teen years and stuff, and digging through that kind of stuff. 9/11 was a big pivot point for me. I think I was a freshman in high school then, and yeah, it was like the Legos, it just fell over there. I think my son, or maybe it was his pencil sharpener, something plastic hit the floor. Something plastic exploded. Or anyways, yeah, but just to give a quick thing, like, I sort of was an outcast and sort of an outsider anyways growing up, because I saw different things differently, and I was always questioning, and I was always kind of one of those defiant students who wanted to ask aggravating questions to teachers, or want to see more of alternative views and hear different sides of stories and stuff. I think that really, anyways, meaning to say that it's been a long journey for me, but it's also for me, I think, frames and again shows the giant gap and the drasticness that I feel of even the switch from somebody who was awake and who understood what was coming before this to some people woke up with 2020. And a lot of people I met during 2021, when things were just like, everybody was starting to really stand up against things. They didn't want a mask. They didn't want to lock down. I was speaking with a lot of people. There was good communities online that were starting to come about. And even in person, I met a lot of people like who were not doing that, you know. And that was the conversational points and the connections were that they were now on the outside as well, seeing the tyrannical hypocrisy and the fear-mongering and the absolute ridiculousness of it as well, you know. And so I just totally checked out at that when they shut schools down, when they started doing all of those kind of forcing of PPE, and I'm like, I worked in a hospital for like 10 years. I did so many silly PPE trainings and HIPAA and all these kind of things with like regulations and protective things, and I just saw what nonsense it all was. I couldn't even I know the harm it also causes. And so I was like, I'm not teaching my children to do this. I'm not teaching them that it's okay. And I can't just sit around and say that it's okay when I know it's not. And so I just pulled everything out and said, I'm not going to, until things have been corrected and until there's been a measurement of corrections to say that that was wrong, that that's harmful, I'm not engaging. And like, here I am 5 years later, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. You know, I knew from the start that was such BS. I knew when I saw them putting up, even spending money on plastic stickers, that's thousands, millions of dollars for companies to spend to put stickers on floors and stuff. I knew it was forever. I knew it was going to be for as long as they could now that jackboot was in the door. And it's so frustrating because so many people just got used to it and now they're stepping through the little door, you know, squeezing by the officer, and it's just, I'm not doing it. I won't do it. And I still am not. And I know there's others out there who aren't, and I speak sporadically to them, and I see some people here and there, but majorities over time trickle down, has sort of here and there, in drabs and dribs, everything's gone back to normal now. And it's frustrating, to say the least, especially when, we have points that we have to interact in society, and like my sons, the last 5 years, it's like been such a different quality of life, a different way of being. Some things are unfair, and some things I feel like, as far as social engagement, activities, extracurriculars, those kind of things, it's like they're null and void. And it frustrates me how others are still just going along with all of it like it's not, like it's a-okay. And more degregation's actually taking place in those places. Now they have boys and girls sports, girls and boys sports. They have pushed this hypersexuality into all angles of childhood everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's at the library, it's at schools, it's at groups and social clubs, it's at sports. It's you can't, there's no way to shelter your children from it if you don't want them to be desensitized and exposed to things that before, to degrade their innocence. At times that it's not correct yet. In my personal, I should have my own personal stance and beliefs that that's what's the truth for myself and my children. I'm not trying to say that it's right for anybody else. People could be called to different things. I don't experience those, and I did not experience that kind of actions or any sort of thing like that from my children. I didn't. They did not speak or were not prompted towards engaging in any kind of that type of activity, or it's I can't speak from experience, so I don't know. I could just say that I always encourage them to be who they are, and to own who they are, and to know who they are, and to feel purpose in who they're birthed as, in our family, as a role in our family, their own special role, as well as in our community, as well as in their own life even. And that's one thing that I will say that I'm so grateful for, as with the social separation and isolation, as speaking for homeschooling and for educating them and empowering them to get ready to be strong men and adults when they do put their foot out in the door and go on their own, that they know themselves, and that they have skills, discernment, that they are empowered to go after a goal, that they have passion within them that they feel capable of going towards, and know where they can go to get more from, know that they're excited to meet others who have similar likes in that and in the world out there, know social etiquette and how to hold themselves accountable, know how to interact with others politely, how to help, how to add a positive contribution to society, and also how to hold boundaries and how to protect themselves and that which they consider special, to have self-security and boundaries, and also to stand as men should, as pivotal beacons of safety for those smaller and innocent in their community, in their families, and in their lives. I really, as a mother of 2 sons here, no daughters to speak even, I came from opposite. I have 2 sisters, so 3 daughters, and I was raised in an opposite environment with no boys really, but still I was a tomboyish type. I was never a girly girl. So it worked out for me, but again, this is giving me a deeper layer of compassion and understanding and empathy for the boys' plight, especially in society. And nowadays, you know, my older son went through 7th grade through public school, and I really saw the ways it failed him. You know, there was a couple of good things about it, and he had a couple of you know, bright moments, different teachers here and there that were memorable and special. But when I look back at even memorable, special, bright teachers that I had in my elementary school years, there were way more than for my son. And we're just about 20 years apart. You know, I had him when I was 19. So, you know, there's just 2 decades. But to see the change in orientation of public schools, and we were in the same sort of small town area too. It wasn't like I went to a whole different states or anything. You know, it was the same area. To see the degradation and the redirection of curriculum and the over politicized social, emotional pivot points away from true reading, writing, and arithmetic. You know, and like I said, this was BC. This is early. You know, this is the early 2010s, and through those years that I was a public school mom. But yeah, so to see the differences, to see the absolute flourishing, the blossoming both of my sons have gone through in the last 5 years, to see the difference in quality. And my 2 sons are different students, different learners in general anyways, but to see my younger son, who's only went to half a year of kindergarten at public school, how he's grown through 5th grade now, it's totally different than my older son's experience up to 5th grade, for many different reasons anyways. But I am so happy that the way that it has changed, it's miraculous. Honestly, I count it as a blessing in my life. I see it as one of those chess movements on the creator's board that really move my life in such divine directions. You know, I've talked about this quite a few times, but these sort of things that you move sort of chaotically through, or you're not quite sure if you're making the best decisions or not, or you feel sort of up between a rock and a hard place, or shuffled along and not quite sure, and it works out, and it works out. It all works out for the best. But roses come with thorns, right? I'm reminded of that. Can't remember the complete phrase, but yeah, it was on a tea tag of mine, and it's something about to appreciate the rose that comes with the thorns. And yeah, it's sometimes people, even it can be strangers, it can be family, extended family, sometimes go once in a while down, because we've moved quite a ways away from family. With 2020, we ended up about an hour and a half away from family, which is great, but it creates even more isolation. You know, it's like living with just our small family unit. It's really amplified that concept, I guess. But being able to do that at the same time really makes me appreciate how different it really is, and how drastic it is. Like the old world, what I consider to sort of be BC, like I call them by myself, it still kind of exists, and it's really, lots of people live there, and it had that sort of blip on the screen for them, which was sort of 2020, 2021, but it's just rode through. It's sort of just mutated almost into just, it's just, it is what it is. They, just, it became part of reality. That's kind of what I'm getting at to them, for them. Accepted, like, now it just is. And anytime we get sick, we have to go for tests, and we have to be in and out of the doctors. And if they say, whatever they say is the protocols, we just go with it. And if we have it, we have it. If we don't, we do something else. And all the places and all of the work spaces, all of the schools and social, they all go right along with the badge, and they know, and they tip their hat to you if you have a test positive, and you get time off or an excuse out, or you don't. And it's just so strange to me. As somebody, I've never done any of that. I never did the shuffles. I've never taken any of their things or had any testing. I never would. In fact, I checked out of all of that. And at that time, I don't trust any of them anymore. I wouldn't let you near me with a 10-foot pole. No offense. I think it's like snake oil sales, and I'm not going to go to charlatans to be hurt and abused, especially when it's life-altering abuse. It's going to be detrimental to the overall wellness of my life. I'm trying to create, better scenarios of health and wellness, and to do preventative positive care. I still believe in the sanctity of my immune system and the overall wellness of my body, and the miraculous gift that it is. I think that it's capable of balancing and healing itself as a God-given right. I mean, are we still? You're barely even allowed to say that or claim that these days, because along with the jackboot of the police or whatever, is the white coat stethoscope as well. And it's just like they have the overall say over everything as well. And it's just, that's why I will not interact. And I shut the door, and neither of you are allowed in. And I don't care about your opinions or what you say. If you say I have to interact with you or do X, Y, and Z in order to be a part of you, if you want to run papers and do all these kind of things, I'm just not going anywhere near you. I'm not going to be involved in any of your things. And yeah, and 5 years later, I mean, it's creating a long, drawn-out, segregatory, quiet life. But again, the inward journey is really what it's all about. And I have found in myself so many different creative endeavors, so many different opportunities for service, in many different ways, and found a wonderful way to make my life work, to get everything that I need and more in a wonderful way that I enjoy, actually. And I don't have to. I have none of those restrictions, or any of those people come to my door bother me. The people who employ me don't care about any of that either. And I've found a way to be involved in communities and places that wouldn't do anything like that and aren't going to. And thrive through it and know that you had no power here. You never did. So it's again the choice, but it's always there, and they want to make it seem like it's all that is. And so many people will be like, oh, well, I couldn't make it. It took me till through 2022 to step out of the corporate job, but they pushed me into remote working because I didn't want to do any of those things that they said were requirements in order to be in the office. But yet they couldn't fire me either because it's illegal. And so they knew what they were doing is wrong, but what they want to do is just get you to go along with it, or leave, basically. And I chose to leave on my own fruition because I felt that well, my husband helped me to really hone in and own that it was time for different things, and that things would fall as they should, and we would make it anyway. And we have, and we did, you know. And that was, yeah. Another point, though, again, of sort of checking out of another stage of isolation. Then I had no contacts work-wise, and that was, you know, a job that I had before we moved up here as well, so it was like an hour and some minutes away. My younger sister worked there. It was ties more to old life. It was ties to BC. People that I knew BC because I had that job BC, you know. And I checked out of that. And now it's like I don't have, so that's almost like an old life. It's like a ghost version. It's doesn't even, I have no interactive points to it. And when I go down there once in a while, like a couple times a year, seasonally maybe go down there if I'm lucky, it's so strange. It's like stepping into Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass. You know, it's like a world you don't belong in, and that it's a ghost of you or a false image of you, of a portrayal. People remember you, this memory that isn't even true of me anymore, and it's like 5-6 years stale. I haven't really interacted or seen these people or had good conversations, especially towards anything that I've been doing, which has been kind of like leaps and bounds, I feel like, in my own personal life, my own spiritual life, in different avenues of service and exploration, of enjoyment of my life that just were not even there back then. I would love to share and talk about them, but they don't fit into that world. In fact, they're not really of any interest or to those people who are in the old world still. Or it's the same world. It's not the old world, but to me it is the old world. And they find, too, you know, it's like it's an elephant in the room thing, and it's like a bristle, because I feel like I get looked at still as if, I'm like the outsider. And yeah, it's like, okay, maybe I was right about the whole thing, and maybe people are starting to kind of see that those were a bad idea, and having compromising effects, and talking about, I'm sick all the time, and this and that, and whenever I have a pop-in or quick convo or whatever, I'm doing fine and great, and not having those issues, and my sons are flourishing and great and happy, and, you know, hear sporadic things from other people who are struggling, and it's just, you know, it's the proof's in the pudding, and the trees bear the fruit, you know, and not to go sort of all, you know, biblical or spiritual or anything, or try to take a moral high ground. I'm not trying to do that at all. In fact, I'm trying to put us all on the same ground of morality, and remember and take accountability and responsibility for where we're standing now, and stop hiding and faking and fooling around and pretending, and things aren't rotting over there. It's like we could all assist each other to just move forward and, you know, get through it in such a better lighting, but it's still like sort of trying to pretend that that's not taking place, or that they don't know what the smell is, or they don't understand, or that it's just talk about some other things. And anytime you get near the crap in the corner and you're like, oh, you want me to just here, I'll just sweep all this stuff up for you. No, it's not even there, don't worry about it, you know, like leave it as is, don't go disrupt it right now. We'll have to do the whole place if you start right there, you know. It's so difficult to be interacting and feeling in such a separate way, and yet they don't want to acknowledge a separateness, or, you know, because, yeah, like I started off with, in order to address it, they have to address the inversion and the fact that they've been standing upside down looking at the picture the whole time from their head, telling us it's the right picture, but forgetting that they're standing on their head, you know. And we've been telling the whole time, like, it's upside down. You're hurting yourself upside down like that the whole time. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get up upside down and say, look, don't you see I'm hurting myself too? Don't you see how silly I can't. And so what do we do but just go on living our lives, you know? But what a lonely place it is. But it's a narrow path, you know? And again, hate to get biblical, but I love those references because it fuels my inner fire, my flame, to know that what I am calling my purpose, it does matter. My life, my choices really do matter. And that strengthens, you know, my power to keep doing the things that I want to do, even if there isn't a bunch of other people around to enjoy them, or anyone to really want to be a part of it or care about it right now, because I care about it, and that's what really matters. That's at the end of the day anyways, you know, it doesn't matter. Because when you work for free service, when you're running a positive, seeking to balance your services, your inner service with your outer service, right? In order to do that great balancing, you have to offer out freely. You have to let go, no strings attached. You have to just allow it to be and bear witness to the things that you make. Because you burnt the fire, you got the goodness and the newness of making it. That's over with now. So you set it free, because anything else further after that is entanglement. It's archonic infringement. It's negative entanglements to your creator consciousness. If you're setting it free, then set it free. It's time to do other things. Go turn your direction to other things and let that operate out in the ether space, in the other space, as its own service entity system, as you've bestowed it to be. You don't need to micromanage that. You don't want something micromanaging you. You want full capacity of discernment to operate as it is. And in that letting go, it means you can engage. It doesn't mean you're turning your back on it, you're never allowed to approach or engage with that thing. But it allows separateness, a border of engagement, so that you can detach and do your own thing and not be identified, not be entangled and tied to that thing, as to its service reflects on you and your service reflects on it. You know, cut ties with it in that way to own your own service and let it operate its own way. And if it's starting to collect negative orientation out there, it can be corrected, if so be it. But if you imprint it correctly with positivity and free service out there, then it should just go. It's paid forward. It's just out there. Just like a book you write, it's just out there. A painting you already did, it's out there. Never needs anything more put into it, actionary energies, time or commitment. You can go and look at it, of course, and you get the enjoyment from it, but there's nothing needed for you to do anything again for it. It's passively there, right? This is what free service is. And when we leave interactions, our energy, our dreams, goals, these projects out, when we can detach from them a bit, we leave ourselves free, you know, and we're free to gather up retribution as is. When someone comes in, say if you were the painter, you put the masterpiece up there, you got something so great out of painting it. That's the worth and the payment that you've received. You get it while you create it for the creator. Set it free. Bam. Who cares if anybody likes it or not? If they do, that's sprinkles, that's extras later on that would come back that you don't even intend for. And when they like it, it could come back in payment. It could come back in a hug. It could come back in a great conversation. It could come back in a critique. You know, it's something that teaches you better about your style of painting, something that makes you appreciate your artistry better, or tells you something about your technique that you didn't learn before, wouldn't know because it's from an outsider's observer position. There's just so many different ways of retribution you can be paid for that action, that masterpiece. And when you limit yourself and say, no, I only accept $100, I only accept a $5 fee for looking at it, or downloading the PDF, or whatever, or even if it's just a gift of any amount possible at my e-wallet, you're creating a restrictive angle for retribution of the service. And that's unfair to, first of all, the masterpiece, because you're entangled to it, and yourself. You know, it's not fair to yourself, and that's not fair to others out there, because they might have a different way that they'd like to pay you for whatever they got, because they're getting individual things from that painting. Every audience member of wherever they get the painting, they see something special, something different and unique in that painting, right? they should be able to express their payment for it in their own unique way as well. And now I've gotten off on a bit of a service talk. And well, it's still on topic, because how we interact with others and our conversations, our energy exchanges and payment and retribution, all in themselves, in their own ways. And so those, I try to keep that in mind too when I'm, sort of interacting with other spaces out there, people that I don't agree with, people who are living in the old world. I try to understand that there's value to that. They are holding space for people to make changes. It's their own purpose and right to discover potentiality. But mine is to own my truth and where I am on the spectrum, and to do what I feel is right for me. But yeah, when you choose to operate in that way, and when you choose to really work to honestly hold alignments of truth, positive service, there's this rebound rebuttal effect, and in the ether, in the universe, like ding, 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 everything around you, the systems all understand what's going on and shift and change, and you find yourself, like I did, in things that work for you in the way that they want to. Just like if I hadn't, and I thought it was servitude and I had to bow down to everything, I probably, everything ding, ding, ding would have aligned in different ways, and it would have ended up probably, doing remote partial days and down in the office partial days, and either just putting on the thing like they wanted me to, and enduring all of the sort of emotional and psychological abuse and estrangement that went along with it. And in the corporate world, when you chose to do that, when everybody else was just get 'em, and be along that whole spiel and line, and then sick all the time, and then I don't even know, like even being around that and just having nothing to say every day, or being around that and bearing witness to the falsities. I just couldn't imagine going down there and doing that and bearing false witness and keeping my mouth shut, or not saying, or being the one to just say it and say it over and over again too, because I was the one to just say it before BC, and it was uncomfortable then. I had like got out of the habit by 2019, sort of. I had been through my sort of spiritual kind of awakening and understood that was a bad attempt. That was a bad approach. And I was trying to get out of that and more keep, spirituality, politics, religion, keep those kind of socially private to myself, etiquette-wise, and to keep conversation light and in other directions with people, because I don't like causing a bunch of confrontations, because any time before that I was doing like shake and wake, I was doing the pokes, I was sort of only been like newly awakened and wanted everybody to wake up like me, and got really poor responses and aggravate a lot of people around me with that kind of stuff, and so I knew that wasn't really an approach that was going to be bringing anything worth it, any solutions to people or to myself, hence why I sort of checked out of doing any of that, and didn't want to, would try to just be more of a quiet person, but still you have to listen to people, because when you're a quieter person, it seems like, especially when you're in these more, you work a job out at a place with like lots of employees and lots of different co-workers, and you bring your kids to school, or they're involved in different sports and social clubs and parent groups and stuff like that, or you go to church and there's different community groups maybe you're involved in or whatever. You volunteer, any of these things, it's like you're now forced to go bear witness to these sort of things and the antics that go along with it. All of the people who have taken the things and are sick all the time and don't know why, Or even if they didn't, or even if that's not even a part of it, if, you know, we don't even talk about the medical interventions and that. We just talk about everybody making really poor choices and being super unhappy, eating a bunch of trash, watching, consuming a bunch of trash in all of these different ways. And all of the conversations and the relationships, the rapport is always centered around like social gossip, television shows, trends, and social media topics. And I don't have television. I haven't had television now probably 15 years. No, maybe 13 years. But even BC, like I didn't have TV, and that was always like, oh, you don't have, do you watch Netflix? No. You know, like there was always like, you have to have some kind of, what's your entertainment filler? And I'd be like, oh, I like to read books. It was like, you'd meet like 5 people who even read. But anyways, wow, just like, this is a ranting sort of thing, but it's like you are choosing to go and step into these false, superficial conversations all day long and sort of make these really false, flimsy relationships that you're jammed into and forced to, because everybody admits they just go to the job just for the money. Most of them, you know, it's not really like you have a trade or a skill or a purpose that you're like called towards. Most of those people are independently entrepreneurs, or they own their own business or whatever. It's not like you're not at a big job or franchise or a corporate job or whatever, you know, like you're not in an hourly rate job kind of place. But yeah, most of those places and spaces, it's, yeah, you get jammed into these weird relationships, and it's all these really superficial conversations, and you're forced to just go along with that. And what do you say back? Oh, I don't know why you're sick. Oh, I'm sorry you're sick. Oh, sorry you don't feel good every day. Like, to be the one to say, oh, you should eat better. Oh, you should try meditation. Oh, you should try yoga. Oh, you should chill out. Like, people don't really like to hear that, and they just want to complain. And it's very difficult. So again, I'm so happy that I've X'd out of all of that, and that I really don't have to go down in that frequency that often, dip down into that kind of operating place and space. There's a bit of it in the job that I have now, but I feel it is a bit, like I said, a little more in a comfortable alignment. Although, yeah, being in that comfortable alignment does make life quiet. It can be, you know, a little boring, a little bit like lonesome. Sometimes it's, am I wondering if there's others out there? You know, but other times it's, I just fill my days, and it's wonderful because I have plenty of time to do all of these things, create the things that I like to do, homeschool. Oh, speaking of homeschool, I really need to go. I've been talking for way too long. If you listen to this around the world ramble, thank you so much. If you find yourself in a similar situation in any way like me, I'd love to hear about it. Feel free to leave comments or send me an email, send me a message on Telegram if you're over there. Links in the description as to where to find me on those places and spaces. And yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.